So today we have another Tissot unboxing. This is the Gentleman in the Powermatic 80 version with a blue dial and a bracelet. It's a watch that I have spoken about many times on my channel because I think it's a great value, a really perfect everyday Swiss-made automatic watch for someone who doesn't want to spend a ton of money but want to get a really good-looking, well-made watch. So it comes in Tissot's new packaging, which is basically all cardboard. So you're getting a cardboard outer box, cardboard inner box. You get this little diorama which just shows the Tissot factory through the years, and then you get the Alps right there. That's it. And then of course you're getting a watch. There is a warranty card and a booklet, information booklet down below, and that's just tucked down below that cardboard insert. Here's the watch. So as I mentioned, this is the blue dial version. And one thing that Tissot do very, very well is that sort of entry-level blue dial. They have done this on pretty much all of their watches in the past, and currently in their lineup of watches, they've put this really nice sort of sunburst blue dial. You get applied indices. There is lume. There's just little dots of lume on that minute track, which is in white, and then you get lume on those fence post hands. Those are in a silver color. And then you're getting a date there at the 3 o'clock. Again, very in keeping with what Tissot do with a lot of their watches. You get a little surround. It's a metallic surround around that date. It is a white date background. You get a nice big crown on here, and it is a push-pull crown. And then, of course, the rest of the dial, you just have Tissot right there below the 12 o'clock index. It gives the date 1853. And then down here, it just says Powermatic 80. Silicium, and that's obviously referring to the movement. So a very simple, very well executed dial, very clean looking dial. And I think that's part of the appeal of the Gentleman. It's a very clean looking, straightforward dress sports watch. I guess you can call it both. It's 100 meters of water resistance. You do get a dome sapphire crystal with a decent amount of AR coating. It's actually one of the better Tissots that I've had on the channel. And it's domed, but it's not incredibly domed. So you can see it is slightly domed off of the case. And you can see it's actually pretty thin as well. I believe this is a 40 millimeter watch. I actually bought this off of Amazon.com, as I do many of my watches. And this was actually a pretty good price. So it's 40 millimeters, basically spot on. At that bezel, it's a little bit bigger, but at the case itself, it measures basically spot on at 40 millimeters. The crown is a big crown, as I mentioned, for a watch like this. 6.4 millimeters, which is nice. You do get male end links on here. And on the strap, it wears actually pretty nicely with a 48.5 millimeter lug span. But the effective lug to lug is 53 millimeters. So it does wear a little bit bigger on this bracelet. Now the bracelet itself is actually a lot nicer than what Tissot normally do with a lot of their watches. But what they've done here is they've put polishing down the center. I think there was a memorandum at Swatch Group, and they said all watches will have polishing down the middle of the links. I think recently that's what's happened. They do it at Omega now. They actually switched from outer links being polished to the center links. So that carries over into the milled end link, which you do get a milled end link here. There is no quick release, which a lot of watches in the Tissot lineup have moved to. For some reason, they have not. On the Gentleman, so hopefully they do in the future. And there is the movement from the back. That is the Powermatic 80. It's actually a nicely decorated one, so you get that wave pattern on the bridge and on the rotor. Good looking movement, really not that bad. Of course, you're getting 80 hours of power reserve with this, and obviously that's one of the biggest appeals of this watch. Now this watch does get a polished edge on it, and you're also getting brushed sides. You get a polished bezel. It's a very nice sort of dressy sports watch, as I would call it, because like I said, you do get 100 meters of water resistance. Now the retail price on this, I think, is around $775, which is on the more expensive side, considering that it is actually more expensive than the Powermatic 80 version of the C-Star 1000. For one reason or another, it's priced right in that range. So it is on the more expensive side, but you can get these for very good prices on places like Amazon. I'll put a link down below. It will be an affiliate link if you guys are interested. Definitely check it out. But I got this for $544. Really not a bad price considering that it's on the bracelet and it is the Powermatic 80 version. Like I said, 40 millimeters, and the thickness on here, I did not do that yet. 11.7 millimeters thick. So it's not an incredibly thin watch, but it does wear pretty nice on the wrist because it's just a little bit of a case back on here, and that sort of sits down on your wrist, and I'll show you in just a second. I honestly have to say, this is sort of the affordable Rolex alternative that is not an homage from a micro brand. And I've said that before again on the channel as well. You got the sign crown on here as well. This is not a screwed-in crown. But it is polished, and this is a crown that they use on a lot of their watches as well. But I really do mean that. It's sort of that affordable alternative to the Rolex Datejust, let's say, and you could get one for a very good price. It is Swiss made. It has a pretty cool movement in it, but it's not obviously a micro brand. It's not really an homage to the Rolex Datejust, and it kind of is at the same time. But it looks its own, and it stands on its own, in my opinion. It has a weird bracelet, so it's not really a oyster bracelet, I would call it, but it is sort of a box oyster bracelet. So each one of these links are almost the same size, and that center one is polished. Now, I don't care for polishing on a bracelet, but I think it works on this watch because it is sort of an everyday dress sort of sport, everyday, go anywhere, do anything type of watch. If it had a screwed-in crown, it wouldn't make much of a difference in the water resistance. So, 100 meters of water resistance, you could pretty much do anything with this watch. Very light swimming, showering, it's all good. Anyway, very quickly, let me throw it on my wrist, and then we will do a lume shot. As I mentioned, there is lume on here. It's Super Luminova. But very quickly, today I have a really cool watch on my wrist. This is the Zenith El Primero Chronomaster Sport. Speaking of Rolex alternatives, this has been touted as one of the best Rolex Daytona alternatives because of, obviously, the look of the watch with that ceramic bezel. It's actually a little bit small on my wrist. This is lent to me by Zenith, which I'm super happy about. But just a beautiful watch. It's also 40 millimeters. You can see it looks smaller than the Tissot, and that's because the Tissot has that thin bezel, and it does look a little bit bigger than its actual dimensions. But here we go on my 7.5-inch wrist. You can see it does wear larger. And that's part because of the bracelet. The bracelet, you have that male end link. You have a 53 millimeter lug span with that, and it does look bigger. So I would say it wears like a 41 millimeter, looks like a 41 millimeter, and wears like a 41 millimeter. It does not wear thick on the wrist though, so it does sit very close to the wrist. As you can see, it was 11 and change, 11.7 millimeters thick. So it does look good, feels good. The Gentleman in general is a very nice watch, and they do a very good job with these. $544 on Amazon right now, not a bad price for this. With the Powermatic 80. Again, competing against watches that you get from micro brands. Yes, you can get a Swiss-made micro brand watch, but they usually are more expensive than this. They don't have a history, blah, blah, blah. We go into it, people like to argue about it, but that's why I think Tissot is a really good alternative to a micro brand if you want a major brand. Anyway, very quickly, a lume shot, and then we'll wrap up the video. Nothing too crazy. It's basically the same as you get from the PRX, just those dots all the way around, and then the hands, just the hour and minute hands. That's it. That's all that's loomed. Like I said, $544 I think is an excellent price for this watch. It's really well made. It feels really nice in your hands. It's finished very nicely. Tissot do a really good job with finishing their cases and bracelets, especially their newer bracelets. They've really upgraded their bracelets, so it's a lot better than they used to be. And in general, the blue dial is always a really nice dial from Tissot. It's sort of a really nice entry-level blue dial from the Swatch Group, in my opinion. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear what you guys think. Tell me what you think of this watch. What do you think of Tissot? What they've been doing lately with a lot of the watches in their lineup. They're really thinking about them, and sometimes they're downsizing them. So they recently downsized the C-Star 1000. Hopefully they're going to come out with an automatic version of that. I hope they come out with it in 40 millimeters as well. I think that's really the sweet spot. This is a really nice sized watch for me, and I think this would actually satisfy a lot of people's wrists. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.